I-14. New production. Let's go. Yeah, I-14. We ride, chilling on the map. New.
All right, welcome to Beyond the Letters. All right, so this is presented by the cleanest Nuke, I-14 Nuke, Columbus Alumni Chapter of Kappa Epsilon Fraternity Incorporated. All right, this is an initiative of the Grand Pole March of Kappa Epsilon Fraternity Incorporated. It's also sponsored by Johnson & Johnson. All right, today you have in front of you myself, Big Country. You have Koach, Myles Hill, and you have Koncrete, Darrell Watt. All right. So what we're doing is we would like to have a conversation and just talk about awareness and what it means. Just to ask the question of, are you okay? All right. So from brotherhood and leadership to pressure, purpose, personal growth, this is a conversation most men never have out loud, right? So welcome to Beyond the Letters, right? So we hope for this to grow, so on and so forth. All right, so we're gonna move into the first segment, right? So the first segment, we're gonna go ahead and start this thing out with brothers check-in. So I'm gonna start this thing out with Coach. So Coach, how you doing today? Talk to me.
Man, I'm good, bro. I feel very productive today, man, and something that I've been trying to live by is as soon as I got back from my vacation. So I wake up every morning and I do three things, right? I try to complete two small goals and one big goal, right? So my big goal for today was to clear out I'm getting my game room and stuff together. So I had a bunch of like old boxes and stuff in here. So I wanted to clear that out and kind of put everything where I want to set it up at. That's my big goal for today. Both my small goals today was gave my dog a bath and I checked the mail. So me waking up and accomplishing those three got me feeling very productive.
I like that. I like that. This is a very good perspective. All right, Concrete, what you got?
Uh, as far as me, man, I don't have no good topics, nothing good for good Kappa. My daughter, father, and her grandfather passed away. So, like I said earlier, before we got on live, that I'll be heading home to Georgia to attend a funeral for her, just to be present. So, my thing is, to be present and available to people who's in need outside of yourself sometimes. So, that's my good for Kappa right now.
Absolutely, absolutely. So I'm gonna go ahead and talk about. I'll be honest, like as the brothers have known, I made the big move back, and I tell you, like one of the things that I've really been focusing on is reprioritizing my life and making sure that I make each moment count. No matter what that is, live in the moment, and the best advice is enjoy the journey, no
Yeah,
matter what that is, whether it is, I got to take my son to football practice yesterday and watch him get out there and fight in the trenches. So
yeah,
for me, it was really big to be in the moment with him. And then he had his birthday today. So, it's really big moment for me for that. So my goal of like how Myles just said is I like to enjoy those little moments and make those little moments stack in the big.
But
So we gonna keep this thing rolling, all right. So we're gonna move into the main topic of what we're gonna talk about today, right? So um the main discussion of what we're gonna talk about today is gonna be a touchy subject, right? So it's gonna be, are you really okay? Right? That's gonna be the theme of this episode. And the reason why is because uh as we talk about men, a lot of men suffer in silence, right? Scared to ask for help, right? So we're gonna start this thing out with open floor. So breaking the culture of hiding emotions, right? Why do men often say I'm good while silently struggling?
I'll kick it off.
okay.
So I think that as far as us men, especially men of color, we also feel like that there's no safe place to open up about things that we're dealing with. So I think that um, we tend to be tough in front of those who need us the most, and we don't have opportunity to expose our our setbacks or our shortfalls, our shortcomings. So we don't have that room, we don't have that safe space to, talk to. But that's the benefit of being part of the bond, that we can come to, another brother and say, hey, look, bro, I'm not okay. And we can have that conversation.
Yeah.
But it's not normal for us to have that conversation. So we got to make it normal again for us to talk about things.
And
Absolutely.
I will piggyback off that. And it's funny because I had this conversation with a few of my friends the other day as far as feeling comfortable to talk. Um, it even goes so far as when you was like growing up, in grade school and in high school, and to relationships, right? Like men, we it's very the safe space of opening up and just telling anybody anything is sacred, right? And when you was growing up as a kid and you used to kind of open up about stuff and somebody tease you about it or whatever, you shut down. You ain't saying nothing else. Cause guess what? I ain't trying to feel like no little punk. I ain't trying to feel like no little, little girl. All that. And it goes off into being a man too. Once you're older and you get into serious relationship stuff too. And as far as like, I talked to my friend about the situation with his wife, and him kind of talking about something, and
Hey, turn your microphone or your speaker down, country. Somebody echoing.
it's good there.
Go ahead.
And you talk about something with your significant other, and if you say something or bring something up, and as soon as that person shuts it down or doesn't give it the proper support, a man ain't never gonna open up ever again. Ever to that person. Might be to somebody else, but to that person they shut it down, it's over with.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So some of the points that are brought up are: we got emotional suppression, pride and vulnerability, checking on strong friends, and survivor mode. So everything that you guys have already talked about, and I definitely like to add in on that when it comes to the emotional suppression. Like, even if you look back as far as you can go with history, it always shows a man in a strong, in a strong presence, whether that is going out in the battle, whether it's coming back with food for the village. They're always the protector, and they're not allowed to show any type of emotion. And I think that just as we grow through society, that's just kind of the norm, and that's what we get accustomed to, is hiding that emotion, right? And I think that as we have continued to get there, it's your cup is only so big, and I think that we get to that breaking point where our cup is is bursting before we say, we've stacked all these emotions for years that we
Mm-hmm.
suppressed, right? And then it leads into that pride. I feel like I'm less than if I do say something about it, and that's just not a culture in society. If you look in organizations, that's the culture in the organizations as well. That's kind of the climate is showing emotion is not a sign of strength, you know, in anything, right? If you do show emotion, show it behind closed doors, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then it leads to what you're talking about, Myles. We talk about vulnerable, right? So if you do share that moment, people have to have the maturity and the understanding to know that they don't have to agree with what you're saying, but just respect and acknowledge what you're saying.
Right.
And that helps protect the integrity of somebody sharing their most vulnerable moments with you. Because when you start, your body language starts doing a certain thing, or cultural background, some things are acceptable and some things aren't. And someone may take it a different way that you didn't mean that you didn't intend for them to take it, but you can't control how they take it. So you just have to be mindful that when somebody's definitely uh, in a vulnerable space and talking to you, and just learn to listen.
Yeah. Because sometimes people just want to vent. They're not asking for advice, and they're not asking for you to say anything back. They just need to get something off their chest.
So where you think that also stems from? Like I think Miles alluded to earlier, that growing up, that little boys are taught to be tough. You know
Yeah.
what I'm saying? Don't
Absolutely.
cry.
Mm-hmm.
Get back up. fall down, get back up. Like there's no
Yeah.
time to sit in that emotion and experience what that emotion really is.
Right.
So like, why is the culture like that, especially for us people of color?
To be honest, I think that it is. I think there's a lot rooted historically in why we come from it, and I think that as the world continues to evolve, people want to stand for something, and no matter what it is, everybody is so concerned with how they're viewed to other people. And because of that view, they are willing to protect it at all costs, and as the saying goes, a scared man will kill a man. And it's because when you back a man to a corner until where you make him have to prove to you that he's not scared or he won't do something, that man's gonna kill you because you've
Right,
just
right.
embarrassed them or you shamed them or you made them feel to the point. And that's really the most dangerous person, to deal with when you back a person in the corner like that. So I think that um I don't think it's okay to,
Diamond in the rough.
walk around, just a nervous wreck. I think that what needs to be taught is how do you manage emotions and understanding when does your passion turn into an emotion,
Mm-hmm.
and then when do
Mhm.
you need to regulate that? Because
Mm-hmm.
you can have passion. There are many people that have passion, but I think a lot of people they don't understand the difference between passion and emotion, and they don't know when that switch happens, and then that's when it turns emotional. That's when it gets violent.
Okay.
Okay, so we're gonna keep this thing rolling. So, all right. So this is a pretty good point in the main discussion. So we have a checking on your strong friend. I think this one is a, you know, uh, concrete. This reminds me of, you know, your days as a first sergeant back in the day, where
Okay.
you got to be the backbone. You got to hold the company up on your shoulders, right? But who checks on the strong friend?
That's a good question. I don't think everybody looks upward. They never, for guidance.
Mm-hmm.
So when it comes to, somebody especially in a senior position, I don't really think nobody really checks in to see if we're okay. But I think that we have to change our mentality. Instead of expecting somebody to check in on us, we gotta check down like, hey, let somebody know things are going, not normal. Things are going south. Or I'm dealing with something. I'm dealing with some stress. So yeah, I don't know. That's just the norm now. People don't. When you seem like you're a tough individual or you got things to put together, people think you just got it, and they don't just check in. They don't check on you at all. So it's on you to check in, make sure, hey, engage yourself with other friends.
And that's actually a very good perspective. I never even really thought about that because when you look at like positional power, you know, nobody's gonna walk into. I think I saw Keon in here, but nobody's gonna walk up to him, you know, E4 and say, "Hey, uh, how you doing?"
Yeah.
So I think that that's very important because it does show that number one, you're a person, and number two,
Hmm.
that it's okay to not be all right. It's just not okay to soak in that.
Right.
Right.
And, it's funny because yesterday, matter of fact, was it yesterday? Hold on, let me see. What's today? Tuesday. So
Hmm.
Sunday, matter of fact. And being in a, me not being in the military, but being a coach and being in a position of leadership as a head coach and stuff. I'm always making sure the kids and stuff is straight. Um, I had a Sunday night, probably like 10 o'clock at night, man. I had a former athlete who's actually a collegiate athlete right now, Timothy Bolton. Shout out to Tim. But he texted me. He was like, "Man, coach, he was on my mind. I just wanted to reach out, see how you was doing. And I was like, man, you know what? I have been going through some stuff. Like I'm glad you reached out, man. This is what's going on, this is that and the other." And he was like, "Well, I just wanted to let you know that, you know, since I met you, I've appreciated everything you've done for me. You've been like a father figure to me." And
Hmm.
those are things that like you said, who checks on the people at top? He doesn't know that helped me get through. what I was going through for that night. You know what I'm saying? Like that literally cleared my whole night up Sunday night just by him saying that. Like I felt good, and it changed my whole energy perspective.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And I mean, that's a great segue into uh, survival mode. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
and you. I think oftentimes, especially when as men, is it's almost like Groundhog Day in a way. You just keep going. Yesterday was the same day, and the day before was the same day, and you know, at that point, it's almost like do you even feel alive? You know what I mean? Like it almost feels surreal.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm. But another question too, Big Country. So, do you think that senior leaders are expected to have emotions on and off the battlefield?
Okay, I believe that historically, no. I
Okay.
think that when you look at uh, the reality of war and what that means to fight and defend a nation's war, I think that
Hmm.
we have to learn how to compartmentalize. And um, I believe that even if you're not ready, you get ready very quick. You become ready in the moment. You don't have a choice. So, but I think that that's a time and a place. I think that that's an environment for them. I think that when we're not in that environment, I don't believe that there's truly an honest way to say I'm gonna get somebody ready. You know what I mean? Like game reps are always gonna be the best reps, right? Miles, I mean, game speed, Miles, you can war, you can plan it, you can go your coverages, your schemes as much as you want. You got to get those game reps to make sure that freshman is ready to step up in the big moment.
Absolutely.
So I believe that we can try to mimic it as much as we want. We can try to simulate it. I think that the expectation is that you got to compartmentalize that. And as many of us understand, you do what you got to do. You keep trucking, keep going, you keep driving on it. When you make it back home, hey, you decompress, you let it out, and you keep going. I think that in an environment here currently, I think it's just hard to foster a harbor environment in a healthy way to where it's not too far left, too far right. I think it's just tough because you're going to have people that are going to uh, you're going to have people who are going to they never played a sport before, so you know they crack having to run 2 feet.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? But then you have your athletes who they're used to that. So it's
Hmm.
I'm not gonna say that it's always the case, but I would say more times than not, they're not necessarily gonna struggle with that, just because they've kind of had that tough that tough love on them per se. They got a
Right.
little bit more mental toughness on them.
Right. Right.
So, since I got you in the hot seat, now you made a statement saying that, especially being in the military, when you come back from, i.e., let's say theater, and you get a chance to decompress,
Mm-hmm.
is there truly an opportunity to decompress because you come back reintegration training and then you right back into the training for the next big fight?
No, and then, I mean, I glad you asked it. I would say that a lot of us, you don't even realize what happens to you
Hmm.
because when you talk about survival mode, let's see, what did Keon say? Least have emotions goes back to the concept of men having 100%, absolute. I'm looking down at what's going on. Who's that, Jones? So, what I would say is that you don't at all, and you have to stay ready so you don't have to get ready. And then when you come back, it's almost like now I've seen the light. My sole purpose is to take these next young troops to theater and back safely. So to them, it's not real yet. But to you, you're like, I've seen it. I know what it's like. I got to get you ready. So you never truly get that chance to decompress and say, all right, let me truly let my guard down. You really don't even really understand, what type of survival mode you're in until, we get to a point to where we're, several years post conflict, and you're that's when you're truly able to, okay, or you're no longer in the trenches with the soldiers anymore. You're kind of leading more towards the beans and the bullets. Then now you're as you continue up that pole, everybody moves away from the frontline stuff, the cool stuff that you want to do, that you're doing for. Everybody does it. So, and the more you take that step back, and the more you move into that more political realm, that more innovation, and where your experience really matters, it's not about tactics anymore. It's more about it's more about logistics and things like that, and thinking beyond that point. So it really truly takes some time away to truly see where you're at and reassess uh, where you're truly at versus where you think you're at.
Okay, okay. So basically, it sounds like to me you're saying that in a nutshell that pretty much everybody's focused on the mission, and that one individual who has that experience, the senior leader, is more focused on the emotional side of people who's dealing with maybe trauma, stress, whatever. So they're too busy checking down on people, and
100%.
nobody checking up once again.
100%.
Just validating our point. That's what's
100%.
really going on.
100%. And what happens is, in those environments, if you're in an environment with a bunch of like-minded individuals, or you guys have all gone through the same thing, that's herd immunity, that's group thinking. So nobody realizes it's not normal. You're laughing, joking, like, oh, this is fine. It's not
Yeah.
until your families, they're the ones that suffer, and they start really identifying these things. But you have this whole group over here that, well, they're like me, but you don't really realize, like, yeah, they not okay either. Y'all are just all in this pot
Yeah.
of messed up stuff. That doesn't mean it's okay, and it really truly takes work. Truly takes work to not lose yourself.
I just think that it kind of, buckles down to exactly the same thing we've been talking about, as far as just you have somebody at the top that always has to come in, and the way that they show up is going to persuade on how that day or how that operation or how whatever is going to go, right? So me knowing that I'm there, no matter what I got going on, when I show up, you guys have to look at me and be like, oh, he's straight, he's solid. Not knowing that I got 50 million things running through my mind right now. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that's the objective of, being a man of many faces and being able to put on this mask when you got all this stuff going on, and it goes a little deeper on, even if it's a job, right? You learn how to put on these masks when you're a little kid, right? And it goes back to what Watts was saying, as far as, being a boy, being a male. I fall on the ground, scratch my knee up. My dad say, excuse my language, but get your ass up, boy. You a heel, like you a boy. You know what I'm
Right.
saying? Right? Rub some dirt on it and keep on going, right? So my knee burning and hurting, but I'm grit facing, and what I'm saying, and showing everybody that I'm good. But deep down, I'm pissed off and sad and upset. So you unsubconsciously learn these things that ultimately turn into a tool in life, and but at the same time, you can't always be the one that's holding stuff in and pouring into everybody else's cup, because eventually my juice gonna run out when I'm pouring in everybody else's, and ain't nothing getting poured back in the mine. You know, it's a reason why, you know, you see those fountains and the water just keep coming up and down. It keep refilling itself. But when it's just going straight down and ain't nothing come up, you don't got no water fountain.
Nah, that's a
Not at
good
all.
analogy.
Not at all. That was good. Real good. Real good. And I like that. I mean, like I said, like what it all boils down to is the I don't think the arena is the biggest thing. I mean, I think we all have plenty of examples of the arena. I think what people have to really go to understand is that you gotta number one look at everybody as a human being, as a person, no
Mm-hmm.
matter if they are the highest ranking person in the organization or the lowest person in the organization, whether they're the team captain or they're the player that is riding the bench.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's got to have a mutual or a general level of respect, um, just to check on one another and to make sure, or like how you said, Miles, where notice when you see those pattern shifts and some looks a little bit off, and then don't just don't just pass over it and say, well, that's just them. Like, ask the question.
Yeah.
Like, hey, you good, man? You want to talk? And I know me, Miles, Watts. I know we've sat in the house and had conversations that turned into you know in depth things when just from man, you good, and we find out, oh wait, this is what's going on, that's going on. So
Mm-hmm.
uh, you gotta treat people as humans. You gotta treat them as human beings, right? And when it comes to your kids, with your young men, I know like with my son, one of the things that I work on, even with football, is I teach them respect the game of football and love the game of football. When it's time to turn it on, be violent, but know how to control it, right? Don't get to the part to where you're causing your team penalties and you just can't be controlled, right? It's a moment. Your job is not to you don't want to bury the person across you in the grave. No, you want to win, right? Part of winning is I gotta beat you.
Mm-hmm.
I gotta be more physical than you. I gotta get there before you. I gotta have violent hands. That's what it is, right? And that is a positive form for him to let that aggression out. Not when he's in class and I've got to deal with that, or, my wife says, hey, he's doing X, Y, and Z. That's not the time to do it. And those aren't the people to lash out at, you know? So it's like showing these young men that there's positive outlets out there. It's all right to have passion and emotion, but be able to control that. You know what I mean? Understand when it switches and know how to have that self control to, you know, remove yourself from the situation, ask for a moment respectfully. Um, because if we don't teach it to them, the world has a vote.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, how do you all feel about this? So the main quote we got: being respected shouldn't require being emotionally silent. I like that one.
Being respected doesn't require being emotionally
Yeah,
silent.
yeah. Being respected shouldn't require being emotionally silent.
Mm,
Mm. Being respected.
I think it does, Keon. I 100% think it does.
What do you say?
yeah,
So
yeah.
we got a
I
question.
can't see his comments.
Yeah, yeah. So I can see Keon. So Keon just asked. So does the
You can't share
interact?
him.
I ain't got
All right,
that
go
big.
ahead.
It says, does the interaction in our youth shape our adult learning behaviors? And this is from Keon Cummings, good brother, out of the Cleveland alumni. I'll start it off, and I will say that I believe it does. It's based off of everything that we've talked about so far. Um, you know, if you go back to even what Myles' example of what he said, um, just coming up, and he's not an anomaly. Like we were all told the same thing. The way I learned how to swim was I got thrown in there.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I learned how to swim. So I'll let the other brothers take some of this.
So I got a prime example for you. So you remember when Tyrese was on live, he had that breakdown, that emotional breakdown,
Oh,
it
yeah.
was about dealing with his kids and whatnot. A lot of people, especially in the industry, lost respect for Tyrese because he was emotionally vulnerable at the time and on live. They're saying he shouldn't have done that. But like, if you having a meltdown, what better place to let it out right then and there instead of holding it in? So like, some people don't respect the fact that when men are emotional, vulnerable, or sure they're I ain't gonna say weakness, but their emotions, they're judged for it. So and people lose respect. So I think that in some people's eyes, it can be they can lose respect for people who show their emotional side.
Yep.
But do I agree with it? No.
Yeah. And I think that just like that, if you see that, I mean, I think like I said, it definitely I think that we're now getting to the point just because I believe that there's just so many resources available in this day and age that we just didn't have that, that quick. You know, my daughter can tell me the name of every animal, what they are. She can tell me the best ways to take care of my dog Pecan in a matter of seconds.
All right.
So I think that there's just so much information at such a high rate of speed, whereas you know AOL, what was it? Bell South was just coming out with dial up,
Mm-hmm.
and
Hmm.
that was if you were lucky, you know, and you were that was about the speed of what we got when it came to learning things. But now kids are able to get this stuff and to learn that there are other ways to do things faster than we're able to keep up with.
So do
So
meltdowns have a designated place?
I'm
I
saying
think,
no.
yeah, I so I will say that I think that it falls in the realm of understanding passion and emotion. That's what I was.
Mm-hmm.
Hmm.
And what I mean by that is, there is a distinct shift in when you're having a and not to air out anything, but I will say that what I've observed is Brother Washington is very good with this. If the conversation may be going a direction and he wants to keep the conversation respectful and just about passion, he knows when to remove himself from that conversation, right? And that is what I mean about understanding when, all right, we're having a conversation that may be passionate, but we're talking about this topic. Now, the moment you start attacking the person, you were this, you were that. Now it's turned emotional. So
Right.
when you look at most arguments or most debates, if you look at the court of law, the reason they exist is when you have a point that you're trying to make. The moment that it's not relevant to the fact, there's objection or whatever the case may be. It's to keep you from, it's to keep you fact based, right? And that's the simplest way to think of it. When you start drifting away from the problem and saying like, for example, if you know a person in the military doesn't have their headgear on, and I see them, my correction should be very simple. Hey, troop, put your headgear on, right?
Mm-hmm.
It should just be that. It shouldn't.
Right.
It shouldn't ruin my day, right? It's just, hey, troop, put your headgear, right? But now, if I say, hey, troop, this is the problem with the military, y'all undisciplined soldiers, that is no longer a passionate conversation.
Mm-hmm.
I have just made that an emotional conversation because the issue is the soldier don't have his headgear on. But I've made it personal by attacking the soldier versus what the problem is, right? So I think
Hmm.
that there's gonna be you can't just put a definitive this for that. It's just gonna happen, right? It's just that's what makes people people. But I think that what you can do is understand the person has to understand themselves, kind of similar to how Watts does, and you have to know your limits. You have to know when, okay, this is this is not the direction, and I'm going to remove myself from this conversation.
Mhm.
I think that that's probably the best solution. Um,
Yeah. So, and also I want to caveat on Brother Common's question: does a meltdown have a designated place? I would say no. And in reference to what I was saying about Tyrese, I think that his outcry was a way of asking for help at that point. So, like, if you have an emotional meltdown or asking for help, I don't think there's a designated place for that. I think if you feeling like you need help, the outcry is where you at, then and there.
and I see your perspective because there could be more to that, and
Hmm.
that could be the moment that outcry could essentially be life or death. Essentially,
Right.
that may be the final call. They may be the final thing. It just may have come out in that form. And if I remember correctly, anxiety shows differently. Some
Right.
people they cry. Some people they get into a rage, and that is their form of depression. So I think that from what you're the way that you just explained it, it makes perfect sense. All right, all right. I like this. It's a pretty good one. Okay, so we're gonna move into the Diamond Gem session segment, right? All right, so this segment is a opportunity for each one of the members to just give you some insight, some key takeaways from today's. So the first segment that we're gonna go to is gonna be Big Brother Concrete. So this segment is called Concrete Truth. And what he's going to do is he's going to give you a raw, honest perspective on this topic.
All right. What's the topic again? Because I was reading my notes real quick.
So the topic is, are you really okay? So the
Okay.
overall main,
All
remember
right.
the talking
So,
points were the stigma behind asking for help for brothers. We got emotional suppression, pride and vulnerability, checking on strong friends, and survivor mode.
so let me start from the beginning, right? When we first addressed about how we don't have a safe place for young males to open up about their mental health or issues, like I said, it starts at a young age and starts in the home. First, we need to develop a way to not just teach our men, the young men, to be tough, but to also be emotionally in tune with themselves as well. And those are the things that we lack as parents, as coaches, as teachers, and mentors as well. Teaching kids how to be emotionally in tune with themselves. That's for the key thing we need to work on. I think in our program as Kappa League, as fathers, uncles, and brothers. That's a starting point.
All right, Coach. So we need some good insight from you, right? We like a quick. This is Coach's Corner, so we like a quick leadership or life development gem out of this segment.
You can't hear me like that.
We hear you.
Y'all not
Wait.
eating the thing.
Let me go back. Let me go back. Let me go back. You can't hear me when I exit.
Yeah, nah.
Nah,
That happened to
now
me.
when you exit out, you trying to look at his notes.
Yeah, I'm trying to look at the nose and go back.
Yeah, I
Nah,
can give you a refresher. So we got the
All right,
main.
so basically, now I'm trying to look at my notes and go back to it. So
Gotcha.
basically, quick coach corner thing is, I think all of this boils down to perspective, right?
Uh-huh.
And what I mean by that is, you kind of grow up and you have these perspective things, kind of like what we was just talking about. Somebody, little boy get hurt, you tell them, get up off the ground, wipe it off, shake it off, or you grow up and do things, and you see, as a kid, you see adults do things, and you're why are they doing that? You know what I'm saying? Like I would never do that. Famous saying, people say never say never, right? And you say, I would never do that. Or when I get older, I'm not gonna do that. Well, guess what? you ain't got older yet, and life ain't kicked you in the ass yet, right? So once you get older and life start kicking you in the ass, and you realize like, man, like I didn't know so and so was going through this, or I didn't know my mom and my dad had to sacrifice this to make sure that I got that toy. You know what I'm saying? You realize all these things once you get older, and the thing is, when you're older, you realize that when you're younger, those things is because you didn't go through them, right? And didn't experience them. And then once you do experience them, that's when you get the empathy, the sympathy, and the compassion for people. And that goes back to checking up on one another, right? And I think that it just all comes down to perspective, bro. Like it's how you view life, how you view, your morals and characters, and just how you view about going about things.
I like that. I like that. That's a good segue into Big Country's perspective. So I'm gonna give some reflective moments focused on accountability and growth. And I think Myles, you summed up a lot of it. I mean, I think that the only way to do better is to just take it upon yourself to be better. I know one of the things that my mother-in-law says is the young man takes care of the old man. I know that's the old country saying, but I'm gonna use that as a gem right now because what that means is if we can teach, and the way that I'm gonna apply it is if we can teach these young men earlier in life, they can potentially be better older men than we are, and and that's how I put it into perspective. Is that's the only way that we're gonna be better is you have to action. We can't talk about it, if the only way to do it is to pick up the phone and call and check on somebody. Like uh, it doesn't matter who it is. It doesn't matter if it's the highest person to the lowest person. I know speaking for me, shout out to all of the Colleen alumni chapter, all the brothers who have reached out and checked on me with me moving. I really do appreciate it. It means a whole lot. So, but that's the type of example that I mean where uh, you just never know what people are going through, right? The group that we talk to every single day, we're always in contact. Like we're always making sure that we're good to go. Doesn't matter what disagreements people have, this, that, and the third. Just remember to live your life for your life. Make your choice for make your choice for yourself. And if you choose to call somebody or not, that's your choice. Don't let it be anybody else. But you can only change things if you do it yourself. We got any shout outs for any community spotlight, any events, anything coming up that we would like to shout out?
Well, we do have our 50th Charter Day, 50th Charter anniversary coming up
Okay,
in
okay,
January.
okay,
I was gonna give you a little sneak peek preview of the possible soundtrack for it.
okay. Let's hear it. Let's
So,
hear what you got. Let's hear
so
what you got.
hold on.
Diamond in the rough, diamond in the rough, diamond in the rough.
Woo! Hey,
Yeah, that mother fire.
listen, listen. They better stop playing with the man over
So,
there.
so,
Give him
so
no
I'm
Yeah.
respect.
shouting out every founder, I'm shouting out all 15 founders of our charter, man. So it's a
Oh,
whole little
hold on. We
skit, little
got one. We
song,
got one.
speech about the history of it. So
Yes,
All
sir.
right. All
I
right. We
got
got a shout out to the Poodles,
Shout out to the poodles.
November 6th. Make sure you come get your ticket from your favorite poodle. All right,
What's
we
the
got a
event? What's
shout
the
out.
event?
What's the event? What's the event?
They gonna shake that monkey or what?
Yeah. Definitely playing that. All right, as soon as we get the event, we'll go ahead and say what that event is for that. Let's see what else we got. If we got any, hold on. All right, it'll be the Founders Day party. We got a location.
For what chapter?
It
I
should
can't see your
be
comment.
okay.
So
It'll be at the Shallow Inn. It is going to be the is it
Shout out my club. Shout
is
out my club, Ray.
Mutai Sigma chapter in Killeen. They will be hosting their founders party November 6th at the Shallow Inn in Killeen, Texas. Make sure you see your favorite poodle to get you a ticket.
shout
Of
out to
course,
City
we
Gamma
got to
Road. They
shout out.
always support the Kappas.
Yeah,
They
shout
always in
out
our
to
building. So we will be there in numbers. We will support.
you know we got we
Poodle.
got to shout the Kalinas out. Shout out to the Kalinas brothers.
Yo.
Yo, what's
Shout
up?
out to
Got a collateral damage.
yep.
Yeah. Club, that club right there.
Shout out to the Columbus alumni. Who is that? Yes, sir. There we go. Shout out to you, Link. Uh, we got any business owners? We got any business owners want to shout out on here? All right, correction. It is November 7th.
November 7th.
November 7th. Correction on
November 7th.
the party for the
When
Founders Day. November 7th is the date. Correction.
when tickets go on
I
sale.
apologize. When do tickets go on sale? Mid-August. So tickets will go on sale mid-August. So
Mid-August.
shout out
Mid-August.
to them. Make sure you go see them. Biggest thing. So
Hey, they need a
I got
cameraman. Holla out a new production. We take pictures.
new
Come on now.
productions. I'd like to thank y'all for tuning in to us today. I appreciate the good brothers for coming and joining us on this journey. Right now, we're looking to do a total of 8 episodes. This is the first episode. Just making sure we don't want to just have a set schedule yet. We're just making sure that everybody can balance life and everything as we come out with these episodes. So we just want to make sure that we're giving out good content and not just going through the motions. So be on the lookout for the next episode. But we got a total of 8 episodes. All right.
I
But
wanna
what you got, Myles?
I wanna leave you guys with this quote, man, by Inky Johnson, man. He say, when things go my I used to think that when things go my way, I'm at my best. But I'm really at my best when life presents me situations that I have no control over. Say that one more time. I used to think that I was at my best when things went my way. But I'm at my best when life presents me situations that I have no control over.
Appreciate y'all for tuning in. As always, beyond the letters, yo, to the good brothers.
Yo.
Yo.
Even in every promise we keep, service to the people, man, is more than a creed. When the noob step by, disrespect we receive. From the yard to the streets, yeah, we move with a code. Every step calculated, every brother been chose. Cack seek on the chest, yeah, we carry the load. Turning boys and a man on this I-14 road. I'm I-14, home of the killing.